Hello there, my beautiful friends on the internet. How you guys doing today? We're gonna cover something really cool and exciting. We're gonna do more animations because, hey, animations are pretty awesome. We're gonna do this nice clothing store animation here. I guess that's what this is. And as you can see, we can sequence multiple animations with something called GSAP that we're gonna use. So, hey, get ready, open up your VS Code, and let's get going. Also, if you like these types of videos, make sure to drop a sub, and you know what, hit the bell and be VIP, okay? Be number one, be the cool guy that comes in and comments first. All right, let's get started. Stop talking and let's start coding. Okay, so what we have here is an empty HTML. Well, not really empty, but I'm gonna explain what you need. I just linked a style sheet here as we usually do, an app.js, which is empty. I added a font of Railway, and I also added 3 different things that I'm gonna show you just in a bit. For the images, I have 3 stock images I got off Pexels. Don't worry, I got you covered. I linked all of them in the description and you can get them right there. So I made everything easy for you so you can follow along. Good, so what libraries do we need? Well, you can go on cdn.js.com. We're gonna use something called GSAP because GSAP is really awesome. It's super simple, it's really performant, and honestly, it's just my favorite library when it comes to animations. So in here, we're gonna need something called TweenLite. So make sure to copy that one, include it in here. So script source TweenLite. And that's gonna help us basically animate things in JavaScript. It's not gonna let us animate things in CSS like colors and move things around. So for that, we need the plugin called CSS plugin. And it's up here, cssplugin.min.js. Make sure to copy that as well, pop it in here, be happy, and you can start doing some nice animations. And we also gonna need something called TimelineLite. Say that 3 times, TimelineLite. Okay, this is gonna help us kind of synchronize and do multiple animations and kind of control them the way we want it to. And I'm gonna show you just in a bit how we're gonna do that as well. And hey, that's all we need. I'm gonna throw up the markup really quickly here, the HTML and the CSS, because that's not kind of the focus on the video. But yeah, let's just code this out really quickly so we can get to the animation part, because hey, that's the exciting part. So in here, I'm gonna just create a header like so. It's gonna have a nav, and in here, I'm gonna do a nav closed div. Let's do closed like so. And basically this nav closed is gonna be this one here, because we kind of want this to be stuck here. We kind of don't want this to move around. What we have coming out here is something called nav open. Okay, the thing that's animating here is this big nav. So this one is animating out. However, we want this to be stuck, and now we're gonna create something here called nav open, and this is the one that's gonna fade in here. So all the text down here is gonna be in the nav open. Okay, just to make everything clear. Okay, in this one, we're gonna need the title, which is portfolio. Perfect. Perfecta Patrona. We're gonna do a UL, which is gonna have a class of nav links. Perfect, hit enter. LI, we're gonna add a shop. Duplicate these. We're gonna do blog and contact in case you have trouble with your purchase. Okay, the first one, I'm gonna add a class of nav button because this is the one that we're gonna animate. So this is the click listener that we're gonna stick the thing onto. And that's all we need here. We can get to the nav open. In here, we're gonna create 2 sections, the one with the clothing and the links, and the one with the 2 images down below, which are these, I believe. So this is gonna be one section and this is gonna be one section. So let's create those 2 divs. We're gonna do one called clothing. And in here, just super simple, we're gonna have a H2, we're gonna say clothes, and let's just do a UL. Let's give this just an LI with LIA. Let's do an LIA. Let's be ambitious here. Hats, just duplicate these a few times. Let's do swimsuit. I have no idea, man. Let's do underwear and miscellaneous. You know what? I'm deleting you. I don't like you. This one, you can go away. Peace out. Perfect. Good. So we have the clothing section. Now we can do one called, let's do one called nav images. So we have the nav open here. We have the div clothing, and right below the clothing one, we're gonna do nav images. I'm just gonna stick these two images in here. Let's do image, source. We're gonna get the hoodie and the hat. Make sure you do the alt tags in a real website, but I'm getting through this really fast. Image, hats, perfect. And yeah, to get the big image, the cover image that we see here, so the full screen image, we're gonna do it right above the header tag. So right above the header tag, let's do an image. We're gonna add a class of cover image, or just cover. Let's do cover. And in here, the source is gonna be image long cover. Perfect. Let's also add that small date. We're gonna do a h1 with class cover date. And we're gonna do 03/03/2019. So close, you almost got me. Hit save, and that's all we need, boys and girls. And let's start animating this thing. Well, we need the CSS, so not yet. All right, and here we have just a basic removal of styles with margin padding, as we always do. Let's grab the HTML and the body here. Gonna add a height of 100% and a width of 100%. This is a font family of Railway. That's the one I included. And also sans serif, just in case the other one doesn't work. And a background of black. Perfect. Whew, ran out of breath there, but it's all good. Let's see what we have. Now we're gonna have these huge, huge images going on here. Oh my goodness, amazing. All right, let's make these smaller. Actually, that's the first thing that we're gonna do. We're gonna get the small images, which are, I believe it's nav images, image. Let's add a height 250 pixels, okay? Just make these a bit smaller so they don't kind of intrude in the way. Perfect. Up here, let's scroll back up. Let's do the header. It's gonna be, we're gonna have a height of 100 VH, so it's gonna be full screen. And let's get the cover image. We're gonna do cover. I'm gonna add a height of 100%. Let's see how that looks. Okay, it's not that huge anymore, but I kind of want this to be stuck up here, so like full screen here. To do that, I'm gonna add a position absolute to this. Absolute. I'm gonna add a width of 100%, so it's all fully stretched like so. Now this looks awful for now, don't worry. And you know what? I'm gonna add a top 0 and right 0, just so it's stuck perfectly. And to be stuck to this header, we need to add a position relative to this one. Nice. All right, now this is stretched, it's ugly. To fix that, we can go to the cover and just add an object fit of cover. And what that's gonna do is gonna zoom in the image so it doesn't look so stretched. Good. Now I kind of want to bring this down a bit. I don't want it to be so up. So you can also move this around. We can do object position, and we can do top if we want to see the top part of the image. As you can see, oh, look at that, we fixed everything. How nice. Now for the header, I'm gonna also add a display flex here. Perfect. And let's fix up those navs. Actually, let's do the cover date as well. Cover date. Get this going, position absolute. And let's do left 10%, right 10%. And let's add a color of white. Let's see how that looks. There it is. I kind of want to move it down here. So, whoa, left. Okay, left 10%. Let's do bottom 10%. Yeah, that's good. I'm happy with that. I don't want to make this so wide though. I'm going to add an opacity of 0.7 or so. Yeah, I don't want that thing to pop necessarily. I just kind of want it to be there, kind of like in the background type of thing. So yeah, that's perfect. Let's get to the nav. So the nav, this is the one that we're gonna animate. We're gonna add a background of white. like so. Okay, we're gonna add a Z index of 2 so we can see it. We're gonna add a width, gonna make this 40%, a height of 20%, and a color of 9163556. So this is kind of the color that I'm gonna use across everything. So as you can see right now, these overflow because I made the height very small, but that's totally fine, don't worry. We're gonna add a overflow hidden to this. Overflow hidden. Perfect. Now this still doesn't look good, but it's okay, don't worry, because we're gonna animate this. Actually, I'm gonna remove this out for now, and we're gonna add it back later. Good. So let's do the nav closed. So the nav closed is the only thing I want to be visible. I don't want the other things to be visible. So nav closed, I'm gonna add a display flex to this, justify content space around, and align item center. And I'm gonna do the same height and width as this one. So as our nav. So I'm gonna do height 20%, and width 40%, and position absolute. There we go. As you can see, it's stuck right there. And now we need to take the other one and position it right below this. So how do we do that? Very simple. We can use the nav open. Nav open. Here we can add position absolute again. We can add a width of 40%, so the same kind of thing, but the height is gonna be 80%. So this is 20% height, this is 80% height. Now it's not looking good for now, but that's fine. To make it look good, we can just add a top of 20%. And if I add the background color of light blue, we can see what's going on here. So we just move this one down here. All right, perfect, very nice. Let's position these things in here so they look decent. We can add a display flex to this. We can do flex direction column. So these two sections in here, the clothes and the two images. We can do justify content space evenly to give them some space, and align item center. Let's see what we have. All right, looking better. We need to move these two around, so these two sections. And then we're gonna be good. We're gonna add opacity 0 to this in a bit. And let's remove this light blue. We don't need it anymore. Get rid of this thing. Bye-bye, peace. And let's go. Let's do the clothing. Clothing is this section in here. So this one. Actually, let's leave the let's leave the background for now so we can see easier. Okay, perfect. Let's grab the clothing and do a display flex, a justify content space around, and align items center. Let's see how that looks. Where am I? Okay, I'm gonna make the width of this 100%, so it stretches all the way to the container. There we go. Looks good. Let's also remove some stylings on this and make this a bit bigger. Clothing, H2. Scroll down a bit, font size. We're gonna add 60 pixels. Is it too big? Might be too big. It's okay. You know what? 50. How about that? Perfect. Let's grab the clothing ULLIs. Let's add a padding bottom of 10 pixels so they're not that stuck together. There we go, a bit more spaced out. And you know what? This is gonna be ugly, but stay with me. ULLI, ULLIA, and we're gonna just do text decoration. None. I'm gonna copy the color from above that we used, which is gonna be 9163556. Let's see. There we go, looking good. Text decoration is not gone. Why are you not gone? Well, we need to add it to the UL. So let me copy that. Oops. Copy this. Clothing. UL. Paste it in here. Okay, never mind. The text decoration is going to be on the A tag. That was correct. I wanted to remove the list style. None in here, and that should work. Yeah, there we go. So everything works now perfectly. Nice. The last thing, really quickly, I'm gonna space these two images out a bit. So to do that, I'm gonna do clothing. Not clothing, we need the nav images. We're gonna add display flex, justify content, space round, and width 100%. There we go, a bit of space. Everything looks decent, not horrible. Let's also fix this up here, which is the nav closed UL, I believe. Nav closed UL, display flex. We are flexing all day. Oh my goodness. Yep, there we go. Add a width of 50%. Let's see how that looks. And just justify content space around. Okay, let's get rid of the list style. We're gonna say none. Should be looking decent. All right, there we go. We can finally get rid of the background color on the nav open. So we're gonna go here, remove this. We're gonna add opacity 0 to this, so it's not visible. However, we can still hover and click over things. So we're gonna add pointer events none, so we cannot click on anything. There we go. Now it's like it's officially not there anymore. Perfect, that's all we need. Let's start animating. The reason why we are here in the first place. So let's go into our app.js. In here, I'm gonna select two things with variables. So we're gonna call one nav button. We're gonna do document.querySelector, and we're gonna do nav button. So it's this one that we're gonna click on, and we're gonna start the animations. And I'm gonna grab one nav open, which is gonna be document.querySelector. We're gonna do nav open here. So this is the one that we remove the pointer events off and the opacity, because we want to add the pointer events back when the animation finishes. Basically, that's why we want to select this one here. And I also want to show you something really cool in GSAP that we can do. Okay, let's start animating this. So the way we can do to animate things, I'm going to show you a simple way, and then we're going to use the timeline to sequence everything nicely. So we can create something called a tween, and we can set this equal to TweenLite dot to. And what we can do here is we can define the object that we want to move around. So the thing, the object, then the time, and then the different properties that we want to animate. So this is how the TweenLite works. You define what you want to move, the time that you want the animation to last, and the different properties, like the color, the position, and things like that. So let's give this a try, huh? We can just do the cover image. Cover, we can do 1 second. And here it's an object, so make sure to open up an object. And in here, we can just say something like width 40% in quotes here. Hit save, and as you can see, it animates. It kind of jumps around, it's not that nice, but that's how basically TweenLite works. Now we want to make a sequence of multiple animations, so for that we're not going to use like tween and then create another tween. We're going to create something called a timeline. So we're going to say const TL is going to be equal to new timeline light, like so. Okay, this is a function, and we're going to close it up here. And now we're going to have a problem because, as you can see, it's automatically going to animate, and we kind of don't want it to automatically animate. So to stop it, this also accepts an object that we can add extra properties. And one that we're going to do is called paused, and we're going to do colon and true. And then it's not going to animate. right when it refreshes. We can control it any way we want. So how do we add multiple animations to this timeline? Well, we can do timeline like so, .2. So we're going to use 2 again. And we're going to grab the cover, comma. We're going to add the duration, comma. We're going to do the object. I'm going to press enter so it's more visible. And we're going to add width of 60%. Like so. Now, another cool thing that you can do in GSAP is you have multiple easings that are really nice. So we're going to do ease, and one that's really cool is power 2.easeOut. And you know, I really like the way they name these. There's power 1.easeOut, power 2, power 3, power 4, and bounce, and things like that. So it's super simple. You can find it, you can remember it in 3 seconds. I hate it when they do like quad, Drupal, blah, blah, like, look, I'm a simple man. I need power 1, power 2, power 3. I don't understand anything else. I'm pretty stupid. Good. So that's one animation. Now to add another one, we can just hit enter here and just add a dot and 2. And right there, perfect. We can just sequence another one. So the second one, we're going to grab the nav. That's the second property we're going to animate. It's going to last 1 second again. And in here, we're going to create another object. I want the height to move to 100%. And I'm going to show you just in one bit how this looks. We're going to add the ease, power 2.easeOut. So the same one that we used. Now, let me just add this to an event listener really quickly. So here we can do nav button.add event listener. On click, we can run a function. I'm going to do an arrow function. And in here, we can just do timeline.play. So we can start the animation. Right now it's paused and we can play it. Let's see how these two look together. Click shop. There we go. As you can see, this one, the first one, is going to wait for the second one to finish. So after this finishes, the second one is going to start. Okay, but what if I want to delay this? What if I want this to kind of start faster? Well, after this object here on the second one, as you can see, right after we close this object, you can add a comma, and then you can do strings, and you can do minus equals to or plus equals to. In this case, we're going to do minus equals to 0.5 seconds. So we're going to start the animation halfway through the first one. So half a second earlier than the first animation finishes. Okay, so this one. So it keeps in mind when this one finishes. But we're going to do it 0.5 seconds faster. So now if we take a look, this is going to start halfway when this starts. If I want these to start at the same time, I can just do 1 here. And then all of them, you can just play around with these. As you can see now, kind of starts at the same time. But I want 0.5 seconds. Perfect. Another thing we can add is the nav open, so the one that's going to animate in. Again, we're just sequencing another one on top. So delete this and just do 2 again. Now, what I want to do is I actually kind of want to animate from 0 opacity to 1. And maybe I want to define extra things. Maybe I want to move the text around a bit. And for that, you can do from to. From to, it allows you to define certain properties that you want to animate from to something. Because this one is just going to take the default ones into consideration. But here, I can add some special properties that I want to animate from. So from to, like so, it's going to be almost the same. We can do nav open. We can define the time again. It's going to be 0.5 seconds. And this object is going to actually be the first, the from. So where do we want to animate from? Well, from opacity 0. And I also want to do X 50 because I kind of want to slide them a bit. And I'm going to do ease as well of power 2.easeOut. So as you can see, I can define a property where to move from. And I want to move it back to 0, so its original position. And X is kind of like translate X, okay? That's what X is, it's kind of a shorthand. And after this first object, I can add comma, and define a second one, and this is where we want to animate to. Well, where do I want to animate to? Well, opacity 1 and X 0. Let's take a look. Click. Oh, this one. Click. And as you can see, we can just animate it back to our original position from a value of 50. How cool. I love this. It's so awesome. Now, what if I want to add back the pointer events? How do I do that? Another cool thing you can do is after you define your properties, you can also add a function. You can do something called onComplete. And this is just a normal function, like so. And here, what I can do is say nav open. So the element that we grabbed up here, dot style dot pointer events, like so, it's going to be equal to auto. And I'm also going to add a console log in here so you see what's happening. Done. So this is only going to run when the animation finishes. Let's take a look. If we hit F12 in our console, hit shop, look at that. Right after this animation finishes, we get the done. So I think this is so awesome that we have promises in this, and everything is clickable, everything is selectable, and everything just works perfectly. Now, how do we animate back? How do we do that? Well, there's a cool thing we can do is we can define just a function down here. We can say function toggle tween or timeline. And we can add a parameter called tween. And in here, we can do tween.reversed. And what this is going to do is it's going to check if the timeline is reversed or not. And if this is true, we can just do a simple ternary function. If this is true, then we can tween.play. So it's like here, tl.play. However, if it's false, oh, this is the other way around, I apologize. So like so, and if it's false, it's gonna go to this one. So you can imagine this as being like, if this, then it's gonna run this, else this is gonna be the else statement. Then we can just do something called tween.reverse. Reverse. And even here, we can just do reverse, like so. Okay? So now we can replace this one and just say toggle tween. And which tween do we want to toggle? We need to add this parameter. It's the parameter called TL, the one we created. So now the TL is going to go in this function. It's going to check if it's reversed. If it's reversed, then it's going to play this. If it's not reversed, it's going to play this. And this is a function. I apologize. I'm messing things up today. There we go. So all of them are functions. Hit save. Let's see. Hit and hit back, and it reverses. Now, there's a problem with this. When we first click, it's not going to work. Only when we click the second time. So to fix that, we can go up here, and on the paused, we can add a comma, and we can just say reversed true. So we can start this on default. And now when we click, it's gonna work perfectly. There we go. Now another thing you can do is maybe you don't want to be able to click this so many times, so you can kind of mess around the animation because it's kind of funny. You can also remove, you can add in here, we can just check if the animation is going, and we can just not run this code. We can do if timeline is active. So there's a built-in function that we can check. So if the thing is active, in here, the parameter, we can add the event, and we can just call e.preventDefault, like so, and e.stop immediate propagation. Stop immediate propagation, like so. And we can just return false. What this is going to do is when the animation is running, this is going to return false. It's going to prevent default, and you cannot stop the animation. Hit save. Let's see. Now when I click multiple times, it doesn't matter. The animation is going to finish nicely. You're going to break it. When we click again, yeah, everything just works quite okay. There we go. Good job, you finished this cool animation. Hope you're liking GSAP. I think it's really fun. I love working with it, and the built-in functionality they have is just absolutely superb. There's so many things I'm discovering every day, and yeah, and the plugins, I kind of want to cover more of them in the future. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. Please drop a subscribe button. I have a design video coming up in like 2 or 3 days. It's gonna be super fun. It's gonna cover Figma highly in depth, and we're gonna just create a full website from scratch. All right, everybody. Thank you again. See you next time. Bye bye.